Good evening. This is the Walpole Conservation Commission meeting of Wednesday, August 14th, in person and carried on Walpole Media. First public hearing, Town of Walpole, Commonwealth of Massachusetts Conservation Commission Notice of Intent. In accordance with Massachusetts General Law, Chapter 131, Section 40, the Wetlands Protection Act, Walpole Wetlands Protection Bylaw, notice hereby given the intent Jeffrey Engler, KIG/Silver Strand Walpole LLC, to construct at 981, 989, and 1015 East Street, Walpole, Mass., map 25, lot 164, 165, 166, a multi-use building with residential and commercial, including parking, driveway, stormwater management, utilities within a portion of the 200-foot riverfront area in the Neponset River. Application and plans may be viewed at the Conservation Commission office or at www.walpole-ma.gov/Conservation Commission. Public hearing in the above matter will be held in person June 26, beginning 7 p.m. All interested persons request to be present. Hearing's been opened and continued. We have a letter dated August 13th. We'd like to request the extension to be heard at the 9/11 Conservation Commission meeting. Please let me know if you need any additional documentation for this request. So, we have anything on?
So we haven't scheduled anything yet. We do have one application in an RDA, for the small application, but we haven't done any scheduling. The deadline for the 9/11 meeting is August 21st, so I think nothing's scheduled yet.
So, you want to put that, what is that, an RDA? You want to put that on first?
Sure.
We'll make that at 7 o'clock. We'll make this at 7:05. This is East Street. So we make that a motion,
I'll move it.
7:05 on September 11th.
I moved it.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. 400. Okay. So when's the next hearing? 7:05, we're not there
Can we do a
yet?
certificate of compliance?
Do we have a certificate? Yes, are you ready on Bullard Street?
Sure, so the listed certificate of compliance for Bullard Street, 315888 is, if you remember, I think it was last meeting before, you issued a certificate of compliance on the same address. This one was issued prior to that DEP number. Basically, the one that we already issued a COC replaced 315888, so it's just an administrative process to get it off the registry of deeds. So, ready
Okay.
to go.
Ready to go, so we'll make that a motion?
So moved.
Oh, I'll second it then.
All in favor? Aye. 400. Okay. We can put this one away. Public hearing, Town of Walpole, Commonwealth of Massachusetts, Conservation Commission, Wetlands Bylaw Notice of Intent, Stormwater Bylaw Land Disturbance Permit, in accordance with Walpole Wetlands Protection Bylaw, notice by given the intent of Genstar to construct at 32 Industrial Road, Walpole, Mass., map 46, lot 1, a multi-use office and maintenance building with a vehicle service bays greater than 40,000 square feet and within the 100-foot buffer zone of an isolated vegetated wetland. The application and plans may be viewed at the Conservation Commission office or at www.walpole-ma.gov/Conservation Commission. Public hearing, the above matter will be held in person June 12th, 2024, beginning at 7:15 p.m. All interested persons request to be present. Hearing's been opened and continued. We have a email from dated June, it's June 20th. We got one? This is all June's. Yeah, we have a request from the applicant. Oh, here it is, okay. As discussed, we will go ahead and request a continuance to the August 14th Conservation Commission meeting date. That came in on September 11th. Or both,
No.
they're requesting the commission
Continues to
to
tonight.
continue until September 11th. So we have a 7:05. I'm going to make this at 7:10.
I'll move that.
Have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. 400.
Landis, do we have something to sign for the certificate of compliance?
Do you have a signature page? Okay, is there any extra COCs? No, certificate of compliance, didn't see any. Okay, we have a little time before the next meeting. Can you go upstairs and just send out a blank COC? Signature page? Don't worry about putting any of the information in right now, just bring down 2 certificate of compliance signatures. Okay, so Sarah's gonna get those signature pages for Bullard Street,
Okay.
and I believe your next hearing
Can you tell
is at 7:10.
7:10.
us
So we'll
about the
wait.
Weston and Sampson letter?
Oh, there's really not much to tell.
Good. Then you can tell us about the
Everything
EPA
is
request.
fine. Everything went well. They did the, what's that? Ringing over there. The Mine Brook and Delaney Wellfield Raw Water Main Pigging project went very well. There was no problems associated with it. And everything looks good.
How about the EPA's request for access to the Neponset River?
I don't know if they're here. Oh, they are here.
Oh, okay, so we can't talk about that now?
Well, if they're here, it's up to the chair to decide if you want to take them now.
You make a note for Sharon while she's getting that. Yeah, if you want to explain what you're, introduce yourself and explain what you want to do.
Yep. So my name's Dan LaFrance. I am a remedial project manager with the EPA Superfund program. I am the designated project manager for the Blackburn Union Privileges site, which is on South Street where the police station is. As part of past issues dealing with that site, there were releases of asbestos that went into the river. There have been several cleanups up and down the length of it, down to Lewis Pond, and some subsequent testing down to Stetson Pond. We found asbestos fibers in Stetson Pond, and as part of our kind of ongoing evaluation of the site, we are looking at the next reach of the river, which is what's on the screen right now. There's about 3/4 of a mile that we're looking to do, collect samples roughly every couple hundred feet up the length of the river. And the last property in that grouping is Plimpton Pond, which is owned by the town by way of you. Your name is actually on the deed. So I am here tonight to request that the commission grant me access so that I can provide my contractors access to go in and collect, I think, 4 or 5 samples by hand. This would be no heavy equipment or anything like that. Grabbing roughly a sandwich bag sized volume of wetland sediment from 4 locations around the pond as part of our evaluation.
Okay. Lance, any comments?
Nope, seems like a reasonable request to do a reasonable thing. So I don't really have anything else else to add?
Okay. Emilio, any
Nope.
Al, comment? Betsy?
So the amount in Stetson was above some threshold?
Yeah, so what we detected at next to the outlet of Stetson Pond was about right around 1% asbestos fibers in deep sediment. Not in material that's really accessible in any way, shape, or form at this point. Nobody's able to wade out to it. It's under 5-6 feet of water and under a layer of sediment. But it does raise the question of when that dam was breached, did anything wash further downstream? Is there anything in shallow sediments elsewhere in the river? If, for example, there's work going on the dam at Stetson Pond that lowers the pond level, if there's sediment around the edges of the pond that has asbestos in it, that becomes exposed to air, how would we manage that? So it's those sorts of questions that, we just want to do the testing and hopefully confirm that there's nothing in this reach at all. If there is something, what do we do about it?
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Do you advise the commission of what you find?
We will, yes.
Yes, okay. All right. So someone want to make, before we vote, any comments from anyone in the audience? Okay, hearing none. Someone make a motion to allow them to access Plimpton Pond?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, 400. You got that? What we want for? Thank you. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
So, this is actually a place for signature. You want to sign it, or
Do we sign this?
There's a
one
one-pager
representative,
there.
yeah. Could either be, I think,
This line here? Email address should go to you. All right,
right, the first line there.
so I'll just,
I can fill out the rest. So I'll fill out the rest and then email it to you. Is that good? And mail the original copy?
yeah, then we shouldn't,
Email's fine? Great. And did you sign our sign-in sheet? If you could just write your name, I'd appreciate it. Thank you very much.
okay.
Okay.
So, yeah, your email
Yeah, I'll
here
take
rather
care
than
of that.
mine,
Okay. All right.
okay? All right. We had some thing to sign.
Yeah, these are for this is for the COC. The EPA, yeah, it goes to the EPA request for hazard.
Okay, where was that on here? Let's see, it's this one. We did. Okay. Warwick Road. Public hearing notice, Town of Walpole, Commonwealth of Massachusetts Conservation Commission notice of intent. In accordance with Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 131, Section 40, the Wetlands Protection Act and Walpole Wetlands Protection Bylaw. Notice hereby given the intent of Wall Street Development to construct an extension of Warwick Road, including an 8-by-4-foot culvert stream crossing within the town's right-of-way with associated water and sewer utility line infrastructure and stormwater drainage basins and roadway located on portions of 315 and 319 Summer Street, Walpole, Mass. Map 56, Lot 89 and 90. The application of plans may be viewed at Conservation Commission Office or at www.walpole-ma.gov. Conservation Commission. Public hearing on the above matter will be held in person on May 22nd, 2024, beginning at 7:20 PM. All interested persons requested to be present. Hearing has been opened and continued, and
We have not received new plans.
This is not a new
This
plan?
is not a new plan.
is this something new to read in?
So, okay, let's not
That
open
is
this
a letter
until we
from
find
a
what's
butter. We have
going on.
not received any revised plans from July 10th. Right, so the plan we have is July 9th.
Should this be read in?
That is new, that is a new
Okay.
letter.
I have a letter dated June 9th from Stephen Kelly on 7 Wall Street, Walpole, Mass. And this is to the Board of Selectmen. My wife Jean and I are providing this letter to let you know that we are not in favor of the plan before the Town of Walpole Planning Board regarding the Warwick Road extension. In order to gain access to the land in which the proposed two-lot subdivision is to be constructed, Warwick Road would need to be extended over a stream onto the site. This would require the installation of a box culvert at the stream and a bridge to transverse over it. For that to take place, the current elevation of Warwick Road on that side of our property would have to change significantly from its current state. Plan before the planning board shows grading loam and seed into our property at 7 Wall Street. Mr. Petrosi of Wall Street Development Corp. has provided correspondence with us asking permission to work on our property. At this time, we have no agreement in place, and it is not something that we feel comfortable proceeding with. We also do not feel that it is right to put pressure on us to try to force us into allowing this work to be done on our property. We also strongly oppose the building of a retaining wall on the Warwick Road side of our property as an alternative to the grading of loam into our land. The building of such a wall would negatively impact our ability to access that part of our property, which I do so on a regular basis. In closing, we are opposed to the Warwick Road extension project moving forward as it would significantly alter the current state of our property in a negative way. We respectfully ask the Board of Selectmen to take our concerns regarding this project under consideration. You're aware of this?
That's the first I've heard of it,
You're aware of it now, so, okay.
but it really doesn't matter to
If-
me either way.
If you want a copy, you can get that from the office.
Excuse me?
If you want a copy of the letter, you can.
Sure, we'd love to have all the copies of any correspondence that you've received from any neighbors or abutters.
Okay. So, representing the applicant,
I'm going to start off by saying I'm Lou Petrosi for Wall Street Development Corp. I have my esteemed engineer, Rob Truax, with me tonight. From my understanding, I wasn't at the last couple of meetings, but we presented some revised plans. When did we provide those in?
Or last meeting.
Sometime in July, and the commission hadn't had a chance to review them. So we're here just simply to go over those revisions. I think Landis has commented on some of the revisions that were made in the plan. I've asked Rob in the past to bring up the instances where this plan could become a more, let's call it a plan that would minimize or mitigate impacts to wetlands in a better way. Unfortunately, we have not been received accordingly, from what I understand, to reduce pavements, reduce impacts. So we're proceeding with the plan that we have on the table. I don't know if the commission recalls, but we are under a settlement agreement with town council and DEP. So we're here to address whatever comments the board or the commission may have that's remaining. And I think we should just move this thing on to the next stage. So, Rob, you want to go over the changes and your conversations with, that you've had?
So, yeah, for the record, Rob Truax. So since the last meeting, I met with Landis and Carl, the town engineer, to discuss, possible reductions for what we would essentially go back to the planning board and discuss as waivers. And it was reduced pavement, no sidewalk, smaller cul-de-sac pavement, and I don't think that was received favorably, that we thought that would go forward. So we came out of that meeting with not being able to go and, we still could go and ask for those waivers, but it wasn't looked on favorably by the town engineer. He thought that Warwick Road, the improvements should be to the subdivision standards, et cetera. So we weren't able to do that. And then I also had some discussion with Landis about possibly moving the cul-de-sac over to eliminate that one small filling, which is about 180 or 90 square feet of wetlands. It's on that tip, if you recall. We had conversations about that. In order for me to move the cul-de-sac, I would have to, we talked about,
What sheet are you?
I'm looking at sheet 3. We talked about offsetting the bubble, to one side to pull it away from that little bit of wetland filling over here. And the issue, I mean, it is offset slightly now, but to offset it even more, it would require to go back to the people who own this house and ask them to modify their lot lines again. This, this has already been done and recorded, and the circle for the zoning is pretty much tight on their lot line and the cul-de-sac and the side lot line. So in order to pull this over, everything would have to shift closer to that house. So that, when I talked to Mr. Petrozzi about it, it just didn't seem feasible to go back to those folks and ask them to give up more land behind their house. So we kind of stuck where we are. The only option that it leaves us with, if we want to reduce that a little bit more, is we could do a retaining wall on that side along the sidewalk. It'd be about 2 or 3 feet high, very small in length, not very much in height, and that would just eliminate the filling completely. We'd be right on the edge of the wetland with the wall. We may have to do a little bit of temporary disturbance to actually build a wall. There's only about a foot between the flag and the road where we would build the wall, see if the wall would fit in there. And it would eliminate that 190 square feet of filling. I discussed that with Landis briefly, and we can make that change. It's not a big deal to put that on the plan. And then we would reduce, obviously we would reduce the replication area if we reduce the filling. That's kind of where we left off at the last time. I've seen Landis's comments. I don't believe we have a final review from town engineer on this, Landis. We haven't seen anything tonight, correct?
Yeah, I was just texting him because, I know he gave me a couple letters and I had asked him for a letter, but it,
I didn't see anything. I didn't get anything at 5 o'clock either.
What I'd like to say, oh, go ahead, I'm sorry, Landis, go ahead.
I didn't, what I came off was as far as, well, obviously it's another board that gives waivers for the items that you're asking to change on the subdivision plan. And I believe what you wanted is the commission to somehow provide them with a letter in support of your request. I thought the sidewalk wasn't a big issue. The narrowing of the road was not favorable, the sidewalk. But with discussions further, if you do the retaining wall, then I think it does the same thing. It's just, it's just, the bar is no wetlands fill, minimize wetlands fill, only do the wetlands fill that you have to, and sort of where the lot line is, it's a self-imposed hardship, really, because where you put the lot line, but besides that, I think the retaining wall would do the same thing, as far as that issue is concerned.
Mr. Chairman, may I speak?
Yes, Mr. Petrelli.
So, I understand, we try to do our best to minimize, mitigate impacts. In fact, in other communities, the boards work together to respect the jurisdictions of the boards. We're working in another community now where the consultant actually requested or suggested that the crossing be narrowed to minimize impacts. For some reason, we don't see the same cooperation in Walpole. This project is a 2-lot subdivision. Do we need a sidewalk for 2 lots, especially when they don't even maintain the sidewalks for the rest of the subdivision? It's just frustrating to come before you to try and minimize 100 something square feet, spend the money to do a retaining wall, and we can't even get consideration from another board to do what this commission is not obligated or responsible for doing on its face. So I just find it very frustrating every time we come back asking for permission to do something, and then we can't get reciprocity on the other side from other departments or boards. And, this is not on you folks. This is just a general comment on what goes on here in Walpole on a regular basis. Nobody works together to try and make this thing work, particularly from a conservation standpoint. No, we want 26 feet of pavement. That's what we want. We don't care if you filling wetlands in the buffer zone. We don't care. So I'm happy to put a little retaining wall in there so we can save 100 and whatever square feet, but it's simply not a fair approach when you have other boards that have the same ability to grant waivers for pavement widths, sidewalks, curbing, diameter of the cul-de-sac. There simply is no consideration given. So I'm just going to lay with that. We have a plan that we presented that addresses, I think, most of the comments that have been made to date. We resolved the stormwater volume consideration where that is being infiltrated and meets your regulations. So I'm just, prepared to have this hearing closed and go through with what we have agreed to in the settlement agreement relative to this process, so.
Just to hold a
Are
public hearing.
you,
Right, so again, believe me, I'm not faulting I don't put any responsibility on the commission.
clarifying.
It's just that it's very frustrating to be charged with the responsibility to mitigate and minimize, and you don't get the same consideration. Nobody's on the other side of the coin in the town trying to minimize or mitigate impacts either. So what are we here for? Are we the sacrificial lamb here to try and do something that the town won't do for itself? It's kind of ridiculous.
enough of your
Right.
position on this. I disagree with your basic premise, and I think it should be, I hear what you're saying. I imagine it can be a little frustrating if you aren't, as you see it, getting the concessions that you're looking for. But I think the town boards in general do a good job in cooperating with each other, so. So, you're saying you would like to close the hearing, is that what I'm hearing?
I think we've done as much as we can do.
Okay. You understand that,
Can I go through the items that
Yeah.
are still outstanding?
Yeah. Yes.
yeah, well,
What items are still outstanding that we're talking about that are part of our agreement?
What agreement are you referring to?
So we
Mr.
have a
Joseph?
settlement agreement that we're under, and in that settlement agreement between our council and town council, it specifies the issues that we're going to attempt to resolve. Now, that has been expanded tremendously over what was originally agreed to. And quite honestly, it's not a bother to me, but I think we've gone above and beyond what our original agreement.
I don't think the settlement was to circumvent the requirements of the bylaw or the Wetlands Protection Act in order to come before some agreement. My understanding is the agreement was to hold a public hearing.
Well, I don't want to get into the legal. I think you should probably consult with town council, but I have.
Over the issues that we talked with your engineer, that he was, I thought was gonna potentially revise the plan, which some of them are flags that aren't correctly noted.
Right, well, I'm not opposed to, like I said, we've expanded the scope of what we agreed to under the settlement agreement, and we're.
Settlement agreement was to hold a public hearing, not to hand you an order of conditions without going through the
I don't want
regulations.
to get into the legal aspect of it, so, and I don't want to debate what's in the settlement agreement or not. We've gone quite far enough. I mean, if there are some things that can be added to the plan that are important to the commission, we're certainly willing to add those as part of a condition. And keeping in mind that we are going to be filing notice of intents for each of the lots shortly, so it's not like the commission will have, this is not the last obstacle or time that the commission will have another bite at the apple here. So I just think that, we've been doing this for, I don't know, a couple of years now. And I think from what I'm seeing here, we've addressed the things that are left are very minimal and could easily be addressed with a condition in an order.
would you want to hear what the issues are that were discussed?
Yeah, sure.
And are open?
I wasn't party to the previous meetings, and
Then, okay, then why don't we
Hopefully
proceed?
you're party to your engineer.
he doesn't talk to me.
Well, that's your
He's on vacation
mistake.
too
And you
much.
can watch us on TV.
So we asked to note on the plan the wetlands flags K1 through K10 and W200 to W220 that were not approved under the ORAD. I understand it was an edit mistake, so that needs to be correct.
So did we not do that? Excuse me, I didn't mean to interrupt, but did we
I
not?
did that, right?
No. When did you do that? The only plan I have is July 9th.
You didn't do it?
I thought I put a note on it.
You didn't send me something after we sat down and talked with Carl.
No, I haven't given you another plan.
Okay.
Man, is the one where it says August 22nd?
Note number 6 on sheet 4.
Right, this is K1 through K2.
What's the date on your
That's
plan?
2 flags.
And, August.
Oh, that's
And
a
that
drafting
carry-
error. I apologize.
That's what I
What
was
have you
saying.
got there?
It carries
No,
through
it's
every
okay,
single
just making
All right,
sure.
so that's just a drafting error. That-
So we can make that change for sure.
Yeah, that's easy. Okay, sorry.
Are there,
I put a note on there. I didn't
There
realize
is
it.
a note of 2 flags.
do you have more current drawings? We're looking at August 22, August 22nd of 22.
No,
No, you got July 9th
July 9th,
is the last revision date.
2024.
We got those?
Yeah.
I see it, there's a signature that says July 9th, but that was our last meeting, right?
We haven't given you anything since the last meeting. We gave you these plans like a day or two
Yeah.
before the meeting or the day of, I can't recall.
This is an old copy. This is.
This is the new one?
Oh, he's got an old one?
Do we have an old one? No.
I thought I gave you,
This is still August 22nd.
There's a signature
Oh,
up here that says.
7/9/24.
Got
Up
it.
at the
That's-
top right,
Okay, got it.
up there, the little revision bar.
7/9/24.
So wait a
Okay.
minute.
It may have been on the,
Okay.
that wasn't on the others. Okay.
Yeah, we got it, we got it, we got it.
okay, and is this a large, yeah, this is
Same
a
one.
large copy, Jack, if you would rather have it, if you're happy with the small.
I'm okay with this one.
Yeah, let me have that, please. Easier to read.
There you go.
Thank you.
Okay. All right, so that note needs to be corrected.
That's number one, right?
Yep.
So, so I had just made note that the letter from the owners of the two parcels was from July 3rd, 2021, which to me seemed that we needed an updated letter.
Well, I mean, they haven't objected, have they? I mean, we've gone through the proceedings with the planning board and now with the commission. You know, we're authorized to file on their behalf, so I think it's burdensome to go back to them. They've been waiting 3 years.
Okay, then the wetlands along Warwick Road, additional flags were hung, and they are shown on the plan. So if you look at Warwick Road to the left, additional flags were hung there, that was done.
So that's number 4, right?
Yep, so the issue with 7 Warwick Road, and I'm not sure which plan that would be, there was potential
Sheet 4.
grading on this person's property,
It's shown on sheet 4.
So,
shown on sheet 4.
yeah, so originally, we did have an agreement. For some reason, he's changed his mind, so we do have a street opening permit from the selectmen, so whatever he's objecting to, you know, we would like to be able to grade on his property, but if he's not gonna allow us to do it, I'm not chasing him. So if we have to build a retaining wall there, we'll build a retaining wall.
So the current plan that you have shows grading on someone else's property,
So we'll add a note to the plan, subject to the permission of the abutter or a substitute retaining wall. We'll put a detail on there. Something along
The
those lines.
commission could condition the order to say that the work shown on 7 Warwick Road is not approved under this order of conditions.
Yeah, you could do that, yes.
To do that,
We
yeah.
can ask them to revise the plan and take it off.
We do both.
I think a note on the plan would be, like you're suggesting, would be fine.
You can do the work and not be on their property.
We have to build a
What you're saying?
retaining
We'd
wall.
have to build a retaining wall,
And that would still not be on their property?
correct.
Okay.
Okay, number 6 is that there was just a bunch of arrows that went nowhere, and that was corrected. So for the stream crossing standards, you usually receive a diagram, a profile of the stream underneath the culvert in the naturalized condition.
Correct.
Not received that.
Yeah, you asked for that when we met with Carl.
I did.
Yeah. We can give you that.
Appreciate it.
So if you're going to, so again, right, no wetlands fill, minimize wetland fill. There's no way I can do my project other than wetlands fill replication. So if you're building the retaining wall along the cul-de-sac, that's gonna take out 190 square feet of wetlands.
We'll
So
keep the
you're-
replication at the same. We'll just give you more replication.
Let Landis finish, please.
You could do that, but
Be easier.
I'd reduce it, just
I
because
would
I don't
reduce
wanna do
it
more
too,
disturbance
because you're
than we
also
have.
going into the 25-foot no alteration
Okay.
area, so it's kind of like a, so I would rather see it reduced in a good quality replication area with some buffer
So-
than more replication all over the place and less quality.
Okay.
Number 9 is results, wetlands alteration needs to be labeled, you did that for me. Then I was still waiting for a detailed plan of the replication area, that I think we had referenced that was gonna come from your wetland specialist.
Yeah, I brought it up to them. You know, there was a protocol that was filed with the notice of intent. I don't know if it was more of a narrative and how many plants, just sort of like what we've done in the past. I can dig that out.
No, I have that, but I'd like to see a plan of the grades of the wetlands
Okay.
replication area and the plants.
Okay. Well, you can do the plan, and then we'll just put the
Thing
plants
with
inside.
narratives is they don't tend to go with the plans unless they're
Okay.
all on the plan, so
Fair enough.
waiting for that. The issue of no alteration plaques and where they should be came up. I don't know if the commission wants to deal with that now or wait for the individual lots. That's
So,
kind of unresolved.
Landis and I talked about that slightly. You're gonna get, the lots are gonna come back for a notice of intent, and I think at that time, the bounds should be shown on the lots, up in the back. But around the cul-de-sac, there's really no place to put them. And if you put them down around the detention basin, I don't think they're necessary down around the detention basin, because no one's gonna go down there and do any work and alter the wetlands. That's like a couple 100 feet off the road, it's out in the woods, and the 25-foot buffer is in the berm of the basin. So my thought was, under this particular submission, is really, other than putting them up around the houses where they're gonna go on the lots, I don't think we really need any, or it would be, I don't know where I would put them, because the buffer comes over the lot line into that guy on house number 7 on that side, and then we get down around the basin, and the buffers, the 25's all in the basin. It wouldn't make sense to put bounds in there. They know the basin's there, you can't disturb the basin. And I think you're gonna get the ability to put more when we do the house lots, because they have to each have a notice of intent. That's gonna be a condition of your approval. So those will get filed, and then we'll show bounds on the house lots, all the way up to driveways and around the houses. That's my thought.
The last one I had here was just the stormwater management handbook strongly recommends that infiltration basins be located 50 feet or more from a water body of the Commonwealth. It seems to be kind of a loose requirement. So I think the concern with that is just not to have the stormwater is supposed to be infiltrating into the groundwater, infiltrating into the stream, or the other way around, pulling water from the stream into the infiltration basin,
We
so.
did do mounding calc, so you can see that the basin doesn't mound up, I think it's less than a foot. Which, I can review that with the town engineer as well, and we can have a conversation about that with him.
So the engineer can show that the infiltration basin is not gonna draw from the stream or vice versa, then.
Yeah, I gave a graph, it shows the graph of the mound, of the basin like this.
I think the stream is like
It
way,
gives you a distance. I can give her all that.
okay.
So my recommendation would be to wait for revised plans, because closing the hearing,
Well-
if they don't wanna if you don't want to close the hearing, you have every right to say you don't want to, yeah, I mean, if you don't want to continue the hearing, you have every right to say you don't want to continue the hearing. But I would then say to the commission that I have not prepared a order of conditions for tonight, and I think we need this material.
We'll continue, we'll continue. I think like I said, I think we've made a lot of progress and from where we
I
started.
thought so. That's why I was a little surprised by your little,
I'm just upset with, I'm upset with the planning, I'm upset with the planning board and the
the
town.
planning board.
I know.
Sorry.
It's just that they can't do what's right.
Well,
Well,
go
that's
talk to the
them.
planning
Remember
board.
And usually there's like support, you know.
Well, I think the pivotal person is the town engineer. If the town engineer says this doesn't work for the town, then I think both boards are gonna say, okay, you're the town engineer, is not working for each boards. And that is definitely cooperation, so.
I agree.
think town staff, and I'm gonna say, rah, town staff, we do a very good job to communicate with applicants and to coordinate with the different requirements of different boards. And I'm done.
That was a good.
Question,
Let's check with Rob's vacation schedule.
I don't have any.
Oh, okay, go ahead, whatever you.
you have the stream shown here with a culvert. What happens as you go to the north? It shows the stream is flowing northerly? Is that an
Goes from
arrow
south-
of the
goes from
stream
south to-
direction? I'm looking on sheet 4. And maybe on sheet 3 also. There's an arrow when you got the culvert, and it says on the, it'd be the south side of the culvert, it says stream, and then you got an arrow. So I assume that is flowing
Goes south.
northerly?
Yes.
Okay, where does it go from the culvert?
So this is the bank all the way down right here, flag. Well, they only flagged one side, but it's probably a 3 or 4 foot wide stream.
Okay, so those, looking at SB 1 through,
Those.
Whatever.
The bank, the beads of the bank.
that's the bank?
So they flagged the bank
Okay.
on our side, and I would probably guess 4 feet wide maybe going through there.
Yeah, you,
Okay,
Pretty defined.
It's a drainage ditch is what it,
No, it's, yeah.
it was a drainage ditch that was constructed years ago.
well, you
It goes
gotta,
all the way up, and it comes up to the culvert at Summer Street.
okay,
Comes out of the Summer Street. That's a pretty sizable watershed that comes down through there. That's all this.
okay. All right, yeah, we got, any comments, media?
No, I'm all set.
Al?
No.
Betsy?
No.
Anyone in the audience have any comments, question, please identify yourself for the record, come up to the microphone. Okay, hearing none. Our next meeting is September 10th, is it? 11th? We're going to be able to get things done prior
Yes.
to that?
We can continue to the 11th. I know I'm gonna have a conflict in one of the other towns, but Rob might be able to.
We'll be all
handle
right.
You won't be able to make it?
it. I know that disappoints you, man. I can prepare another speech if you want.
One's enough, thank you.
it's a happy.
I'll reserve that for the other town. You're getting off easy.
That's
Okay,
fine. Yeah, we can work with that.
September 11th. We got, let's make it at, make it 7:20.
We already have 3 hearings ahead.
We got 7:05, 7:10, right?
7:15.
Well, we might have something to do with it. We want to make it 7:15? Okay.
You like to do them every 5 minutes now, don't you?
Because the first 2 didn't come.
I know.
We've sometimes sat here for half an hour doing nothing.
I know.
So
We always do
you're
something.
clear with what?
Yes, I got all them highlighted right here on your little,
Let's hope,
I sent you my list.
I got it. I'm highlighting as we speak,
let's hope that 30 days is
making
enough.
notes
So we
on your
got,
list.
we'll continue this until September 11th at 7:15 PM. Someone make that a motion.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. 400.
Thank you.
Thank you.
First meeting, I haven't had any.
First meeting, you didn't yell.
Pemberton Street.
Pemberton next. No, Pemberton is, yeah, Pemberton.
Pemberton.
Isn't that nice how we set that up?
Public hearing, Town of Walpole, Commonwealth of Massachusetts Conservation Commission request to amend order of conditions in accordance with the Walpole Wetlands Protection Bylaw. Notice by giving the intent of J. Walsh Corporation to amend order of conditions issued under the Walpole Wetlands Protection Bylaw number 2023-3 to clear an additional 5,500 square feet of vegetation within the 100-foot buffer zone located at Lot A, 281 Pemberton Street, map 17, Lot 240, Walpole, Mass. Application and plans may be viewed at the Conservation Commission office or at www.walpole-ma.gov/Conservation Commission. Public hearing in the above matter will be held in person August 14th, 2024, beginning at 7:25 PM. All interested persons request to be present. And do we have anything to read in here?
No.
Yeah. Okay. So representing the applicant?
Rob Truax, Truax Engineering Group. So, as you may recall, this came before you, and you issued an order of conditions under the local bylaw. This is not under the DEP Wetlands Act because it's an isolated wetland. The applicant, J.T. Walsh, is here, John Walsh. The house is now constructed. It's occupied. The owner is here as well, the new owner. The new owner has requested from the builder that we expand the rear yard portion, and as you can see on the plan, we're looking to push it out approximately just over 100 feet. By 100 feet, it's about 5,000 square feet of disturbance and tree clearing. They want to expand the backyard. Everything else is, we would have been done with the site and came in for a certificate of occupant compliance. However, with this request, they haven't quite finished all the landscaping because they want to get back there and do that work, and then they'll clean up the site and finalize it. So we're asking, we've notified all the abutters of this request, so this is a public hearing. It's a request to amend or issue a new order under the local bylaw to expand the work in the rear yard of the site. Is it amend or? Amend the existing order to do additional clearing, which is about 5,000 square feet. The idea is cut the trees, haul them away, grub it, do a little bit of regrading, maybe cut it down on the wall side a couple feet and go across the other way. It's about an 8 to 10% slope across the lot now, out to like 6 to 5. It wouldn't be completely flat. It would match up to what we've graded behind the house that's there now. And that's pretty much it. The grading, the clearing goes from the property line, which is the stone wall. It doesn't encroach in the 25-foot buffer. It stops right at the 25-foot buffer at the beginning of it and then kind of veers off towards the rear of the lot, as you can see on the plan.
Okay. Landis?
So, I went out there and took a look at the site, sort of reviewed the activity that had already been completed, and then went back to the area that was cleared. Rob, you just mentioned grading, but your plan doesn't show any grading.
Yeah, we really don't. Yeah, it's not gonna be a lot of grading. I mean, it's not gonna be like a 6-footer cut and a 6-foot fill on the other side. It's only gonna be a couple feet, strip out the, the stumps and the loam, and then come back in, do a little reshaping and re-loom and seed it. It's gonna be lawn area when it's complete.
So are you gonna make it flat to the 96?
No.
No. You're
No.
going to,
Probably cut it down about 2 feet on the upper side and fill it in a couple feet on the lower side.
so it's about at 100. I guess the point is, there's no grading, so.
Yeah, I
You
wasn't
could,
anticipating a lot of grading taking place. I thought we were just gonna clear it, reshape it, and loom and seed it.
Yeah.
But speaking to the applicant, wants to do a little bit of grading, so he wants to cut it down on the high side slightly and fill it in a little on the low side.
I guess just to be clear, I'd prefer grade,
We could amend that to give you some grades.
that it'll be loam and seeded, so we know, because there has been speculation, what's gonna happen here, and all I could tell the people that came in and asked was, they're gonna clear it, because that's all that was shown on the plan. The other issues on your plan, you show the proposed tree line. So you have the little squiggles, and in the legend, it says proposed tree line limit of work.
That's the little squiggles.
Right, so you had the little squiggles for the existing dwelling, too.
Right up to the stone wall.
No, there was squiggles next to the stone wall, like the same thing that there is for the proposed additional clearing.
Right.
So it was the impression that there was some vegetation that was to remain by the stone wall. And
Oh, I
this
was
is the
kind of showing it that it would be,
here.
I was showing the squiggles like it would be clear to the stone wall was my
It says
thought.
proposed,
Right,
proposed.
Limit of
tree
work.
line, Limit of work.
which goes right up to the stone wall. Yeah, but they go right to the stone wall.
Does it, or does it go to the what's?
I mean, there's only, between that squiggle line and the wall, there's only 2 feet. You can't really, there's no forest there at that point. I mean, there's probably trees on the other side here and there along the property, on other
So there
people's
is no
property.
vegetation that's gonna be left along the stone wall.
Correct. They were gonna clear to the property line, right up to the wall.
I would think that the limit of work would have been the stone wall, not the tree line.
Yeah, because tree line sounds like
That's just
trees.
confusion there.
All right, we'll take the squiggles off
I've
and
never
call.
seen squiggles before for limit
I've
of work.
seen squiggles.
No.
Can I, may I add?
Identify
hi.
yourself, please. Just-
John Walsh, J. Walsh Corp. I'm here. I heard that some of the neighbors may have had concerns, so I wanted to address all of those. So we have a new owner at 281 Pemberton, and he has a couple of dogs, and he's just looking for some space that they can run around in. Right now, the backyard's a little tight. It's a little sloped. So what we've left undone so far is the whole left side of the house. But we have added some trees along the stone wall so far. He may have plans to add more. I know there's talk of a fence too down the road. So what he wants to do is really come in and just shape the backyard, make it so it's usable, light grading. And I'm sure he's gonna do some landscaping down the road here. But I don't want to hold him to any new trees or anything at this point. He's a new homeowner, and we all know how expensive that is these days. But it's going to be grass. There's going to be a sprinkler system included. So it would be a nice, usable backyard.
Okay. All right.
And just to clarify, that what's shown on your amended plan of the existing dwelling and deck and grades and plaque locations, that's all as-built?
So the bounds are not as-built. The house in the front yard, the decks, the walks and all that, that's all as-built. I've not located the bounds yet on the as-built. Those were where they were proposed.
Well,
Anything
I also included my comments to Walsh that the plaques, I could see they were epoxied. but
I
they
glued
weren't-
them and
They weren't.
it didn't
secure.
work.
They went flying. That's why in the order of conditions, if you read the order of conditions.
I missed
it says
that.
Screw them in.
Yeah.
So they need to be.
I'd done it in the past and the epoxy worked, and
It depends on when you epoxy.
it was winter time, I
The
think.
weather. That's why you really need to screw them.
Yeah,
The Gorilla Glue didn't work.
no.
I've run across that. So now I like, that's a regular thing for me. I go, I see if I can lift them off.
Yep.
And I often can.
That was my bad.
And then just a little sediment cleanup along that compost stock.
Okay.
Anything else? Medio? Al?
What's that?
Since they're gonna have dogs there, are they gonna install a fence?
They may, down the road. I can't speak for them, but there is talk of it.
I don't have anything else.
Betsy?
One of the things that might be going on with your alteration facts is, this is boilerplate here, right? Your computer just plops this down, the wetland bound thing.
Yep.
There's not a word about putting anything with screws. Just change the boilerplate and forever after, whoever attaches your plaques will maybe read it and abide by it.
No, I will.
It doesn't even say screws here.
I didn't know they had to be screwed either. I didn't know how they put them on, to be
That's
honest.
why I changed the boilerplate and.
I can do that.
And then they'll stay attached.
They're concrete. They're not easy to screw. Yeah.
Well, so, aren't there things called concrete drills? I don't know.
Yeah, they do.
Somehow or another,
Yeah.
they
can do it,
they
so.
have to
No,
last
they do, they
longer
have them.
than a year or half a year.
I actually have a question. The grades you mentioned, are you changing the grades in the cleared part or the whole backyard, or,
In the cleared part,
okay, to what?
kind of like,
It's
well, I'll
102?
give you some grades on the plan, just so we're clear. That's fine. Well, we're probably gonna, like you say, he's not gonna go in there and make it all flat, because it's gonna have some slope from one side to the other.
I would note irrigation and put a fence around, like, this is good for 3 years. Well, it's good as long as the life of the order of conditions, so whatever you want back there, they should just throw on the plan. Fence, irrigation,
They don't have to put the fence in now, they can put it in a couple years from now?
yeah.
Would that be
As long
good?
as long as your order of condition is
I'm looking at you,
open.
because you're the
I'm deferring to you guys, because I don't know how these meetings go.
As long as the order of conditions is open.
So what she's saying is, this permit's good for 3 years, so if you're planning to put a fence, like, not right now because of the cost, and you just moved in, but you think you're gonna put one in maybe next summer or the summer after, if we show it now, then you can still just do it, you don't have to come back and ask for permission.
Gotcha, yeah, I didn't anticipate that the fence would require another meeting.
Excuse me, yeah, you want to identify yourself and go up to the microphone, please?
Yes, sorry. Todd Sharp, I am the homeowner of 281 Pemberton. A fence is definitely in the plan. I didn't realize it would require another meeting here. I don't know how these things go, so I'm kind of deferring to John and his team, but yeah, we would like a fence at some point.
Okay. Since you're extending that, I noticed the plaques, did you have anything else, Betsy?
No.
I would think it'd be, gonna put one on the property line. On the buffer, you got it on the
There is-
wetland buffer?
All the way up on the 100-foot?
No, where the 25-foot disturbed line crosses the property line.
Oh, down here?
On the, yeah,
Oh, okay.
add another plaque
All in the
there.
middle?
Well, just at the property line,
Okay.
one in there. Since you're extending that out, that just would
Sure.
cover that area in case somebody decides to
Not a
do
problem.
something more.
It's in the middle of the woods. Yeah.
You wanna put, I'll put one right here, you want just that one, I have one here,
Right. Yeah, well, and then on the property line,
right down there.
yeah.
Okay. Sure.
If you wanted to distinguish where it was, I would, normally you'd draw a line between the two of them, which you'd which would not be correct, actually.
No, it wouldn't.
Well, it
So
should
you
just
want
be
to put two of them in,
You want another one in the middle?
yeah, in the middle. That would protect that area. In case there's any decision to go further with that,
I thought you were. I didn't think the one was sufficient, but.
you, okay. Anyone in the audience have any questions or comments? Please identify yourself for the record and use the microphone, please.
Hi. Excuse me. I'm Rob Adler. I live at 13 Joel Ave. And it's good to see the new owner as well. And there may be some interest we have still. I guess part of and Landis presented a part of our discussion a little bit earlier that we had today about some of the abutters, as well as the tree line. And in particular, we've noticed that the tree line both a year ago was in the proposed plan, and then again this year it's in the proposed plan. I'm sorry. So a year ago, there was a tree line that was proposed in the plan for building the existing home that's there currently. Now the applicant's coming forward, and again, there's a proposed tree line here for the new property at the property boundary that backs up onto the backyards of homeowners on Kennedy Lane. We assumed that the proposed plan, that when it was approved by the commission, would include trees planted along that line. Once again, when we see the proposed tree line here, we assume that with approval of the plan, that this proposed line would be planted once again with trees. If for no other reason than to support the wetland aesthetic value that's within the Walpole wetlands bylaw. So we still want to make the comment that if there is a proposed tree line here and the commission does approve the plan, that would again signify the planting of trees along that line. The reason we asked for this is that a year ago, many of these neighbors had come forward and saying that they were very disheartened that trees were all cut down in this area. And the work was allowed to go ahead under this proposed plan that has the tree line. And assuming I'm inviting a conversation here or a discussion at this point, that when there is a proposed plan that comes forward with an option, I guess it's not an option, but with a proposal for a tree line, and that the commission goes ahead and approves the plan, that it would include a tree line. If it isn't to include an existing trees, then it would include at least some kind of a buffer for planted trees. And we would allow, obviously, landscape architect to suggest what trees might be planted in that area. Now we understand there's going to be probably a fence, which would help to corral the dogs in the neighborhood, which is not a bad idea. But with that fence comes another fence line as opposed to an aesthetic tree line. And now I guess the comment might be is to suggest in some fashion, either to the owner or to the commission, that there be some kind of a buffer in here that does support the aesthetic value of wetlands, which is in the wetland bylaw.
Okay.
That's our first comment. The other comment I had was, and I just learned today, that this is about a 10% grade where they're proposing right now for the new clearing for lawn. And I guess at this point, is that what I understand, Rob, is that this will now be a 6 to 8% grade based on? more like 6, not 8, which is not a bad idea because it helps to decrease the amount of velocity of runoff in the area, especially if you're going to be planting a new lawn in the area, particularly if you do it in the springtime. So we have a couple of suggestions about that as well. If this is to be cleared and replanted, better it be at a shallow grade that's being suggested here, or even more shallow, to reduce the velocity of runoff on the property so as to reduce the potential for erosion on the property. I have a 1% grade on my property on Joel Ave in the front yard, and after the last 2 years of rainfall, we've had significant erosion on a 1% grade. What I do suggest in this area, if that's the case, is rather than just planting and seeding, basically, is to, or even hydroseeding, is to install sod in this area off the bat, and that it be conducted during August or the latter parts of August and September to reduce the potential for erosion in that area. We suggest this because this is just a micro wetland in this area. It won't take much to displace that wetland. And in particular, that any kind of fertilizer that's added to this new lawn area and pesticide will devalue the values of the wetland. So we suggest that that be sod, which isn't all that much more expensive than hydroseeding in the area. And unless there's other comment, that would be it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
The one comment they do have where I invited discussion is to understand what is the commission's process, that when you approve a plan that has a proposal on it and you approve that plan, isn't the proposal adopted? So that if you approve a plan with a proposed tree line there, isn't that an adopted requirement? Thank you.
The plan that's approved is supposed to be followed by whoever's doing the development, contractor, whoever.
So there's not something that's actually approved as a condition?
The plan that is shown is supposed to be followed.
You have to talk to the microphone, otherwise it doesn't pick up on the recording.
It's on television for the mic.
The plan that is submitted and approved is supposed to be followed.
And so when it's approved and it has a proposed tree line in there, it's approved to include that tree line.
As I said, what is shown on the plan and approved is supposed to be done. That's the way the work is supposed to go.
So then that's what we would expect to see in the order of conditions.
That's what's shown on the original plan of, what's the date on here?
The approved plan is
July
referenced
12.
in the order of conditions.
And it shows that there is a tree line going from the street down to the original landscaping area. And now on this proposed plan, it also shows a proposed tree line limit of work, as is shown on the plan. Does that answer your question?
I assume that will be in the order of conditions then.
It's on the plan. They're
Okay.
supposed to follow the plan.
And by all means, any suggestions by a landscaper as to what that would include? We'd be willing to understand that it's not
All the plan shows is a tree line. Propose a tree line and it's also the limit of work. So that, there's no, I don't know if the order of conditions indicated what type of trees, but it's a tree line.
Or even how many.
No, It's
No.
supposed to be a tree line.
It wasn't just.
Thank you.
So I think that message is gotten through to the owner developer, engineer?
So we had a limit of work. We stayed well within it. We didn't say that we were going to plant any trees. I think we're taking some squigglies on a plan, maybe too literally. I think we're also suggesting that there are a row of trees that was there, like right along the property line, when that's not the case. They were very spread out. So we followed the order of conditions, and we're suggesting taking. What we'd like to clear moving forward would be right up to the rock wall.
Well, your plan shows a,
So I meant to download it so we can put it up on the screens, but I forgot. But, so I do have a copy of an aerial, and there's no vegetation along the stone wall. There's nothing there
Now,
now.
we cleared it.
But
well,
on your plan, it says,
But that squiggly line has two definitions. It says limit of work. So
it
we're
says-
clearing to
it
that
says
line.
proposed, excuse me, Rob, it says proposed
Tree line and limit of
limit
work.
of work,
Slab-
proposed
Right.
tree line, okay.
So if there's
where's-
trees on the other side of that line, then they stay there. Then there's no trees
you need-
then.
You need trees, okay?
It's not, it doesn't mean we're proposing to plant any. It's
No,
just a
I thought-
limit of work.
I thought you were proposing to keep some.
The limit of work went right up to the property line. That was really, it's really there to define the limit of work. It's not, I mean, the tree line
You
is
should
not
have-
straight like
You should have
that.
addressed that in your legend that says clearly proposed tree line / limit of work.
There you go,
I
limit
would
of
say-
work.
Yeah, proposed tree line.
Right.
So where are the bleeping trees?
They're on the other side of that squiggly line, if there's any left on that side. We're clearing to the line.
This is shown on your side of the property line.
So what does limit of work mean?
It's the limit of
That's what we're
work.
gonna work to, right to
You're
that
gonna-
line.
And.
So that if that line goes to the property line, we're gonna clear the trees to the property line. And then whatever on the other side of that is gonna stay, whether they're trees or not trees.
I don't buy that, sorry. So,
We'll take the squiggly line off the plan then.
well, it's too late, because this was approved on the original order of conditions, and the same wording is on
So we
this
cleared
one.
to that line. That order gives us permission to clear to that
With
and work
trees.
to the line.
Then you shouldn't have included that in the manner that you did on your legend. It says there's going to be a tree line.
You're reading it, I'm reading it as limit of work.
And leave the
The
trees.
limit of work is the trees, and the trees aren't there.
Because I just use it as a limit of work in a proposed tree line, because on the wood side, it's trees. If there's no trees on the other side, there's not necessarily gonna be a tree right on that squiggly line where I show it where the woods are.
And it's confusing.
It's never been confusing to me. I've been doing it for 30 years.
This way, it's confusing.
And now all of a sudden, it's the first time this has ever come up in all the years I've done this. I'm gonna never use the squiggly lines again. They're going.
I would say it is confusing. I would say if the applicant, being J.T. Walsh, proposed on this amended plan to clear up to the stone wall, would the commission approve it? That's kind of how I look at it.
Yeah,
So you
but-
could, so,
But you didn't present it that way. I mean,
well, they
that
can
brings,
amend their request for an amendment to include clearing up to the stone wall.
We'll amend our request to clear up to the stone wall.
It is confusing, so I would think about how you should present your plans in the future. But I guess in a practical stance, and this, what I did also describe to Mr. Adler, is that it is in the far out limit of the 100-foot buffer zone. Does a line of trees there have any significant impact to the wetlands area? Or is it just, well, you showed it on the plan, so it should be there? But that's why I posed the question, if they requested to clear up to the stone wall, under the amended order, or originally would the commission have approved it? Is a line of trees there really something that's gonna be impacting the wetlands?
You know, we might have thought it wasn't in our jurisdiction.
Part of it is outside the 100-foot buffer zone, and part of it is in the 100-foot buffer zone. I think it's more amending the abutters, so if there's something you can do there to work with the abutters, probably would be nice.
It looks like on the Warwick Road plan, you use squiggly line to mean trees. I see squiggles all around, I mean, it's like.
I've used them forever. This is the
for-
first
to mean-
time
To mean
in
trees.
30-something years it's ever been questioned like this, I'll be honest.
If I may, we did plant 6 trees up along the left-hand side of the property. We've already added some trees.
Along the stone wall?
Yeah, we did.
And then so I would say and it seems to me the intent of this amended plan is to keep some vegetation along the stone wall, that I would tag those trees that can be kept and not cleared.
You ready there?
Yeah,
Right
so
up against
it's,
the wall?
so it's pines back there. It's like big pines. It's not like the trees are close to one another. They're very spread out. So when we take them, there's not necessarily trees along the property line. There may be one, but then the neighbors have cleared up to their stone wall. He'd like to clear up to his stone wall. What's one pine gonna do in the middle of
The
the
white
2
pine?
lawns?
Yeah.
Yeah. That doesn't really make sense.
What did you plant along the,
Green giants,
what was it?
the green giants.
Which is
It's a,
Arborvitae's.
Okay.
arborvitae?
Okay.
So if you continue some arborvitae's in the same manner that you did,
I don't have permission to do that. I think we'd like to be, I'd like to,
Then maybe take tree line off the plan. I kind of agree, white pines are gonna be a problem.
They're gonna blow down.
if we leave one, they're gonna blow down. It already happened. So we did leave a tree or two by the stone wall, just because we were worried about houses. So, and what first thing that happened was, within a couple of weeks, it blew down. So I worked with the neighbor, and I was able to, remove it. So I think what we're proposing,
do you have any problem with just continuing in the distancing you have of arborvitae's along your proposed work?
he might want to do a fence, so I don't think that he would like to do that. It's and I don't know that it's in the budget. He's a brand-new homeowner. We're just asking to clear a little bit more lawn.
So they should remove it should be clearing to the
Yeah,
stone wall.
We'll revise the plan, that's fine. I'll
And then
revise
it'll
the
be
plan,
clear.
take that off.
So you take that off, then you're gonna put the grading on.
Correct.
I guess, add a fence, and make a note for irrigation. So just to be clear
Yep.
with, the order of conditions was issued to Walsh. And that date, which I don't have with me, or maybe in the file, that's the date of issuance. So the permit is good for 3 years from that date, not from the amendment issuing date. So just to be clear with that. And just for the new homeowner, you've bought a piece of property that has a wetlands on it. So any activity within 100 feet of the wetlands, being the 100-foot buffer zone, that's why we're here, that requires excavation, fill, removal of vegetation, increased impervious surface, you have to come before the Conservation Commission for either a request for determination or a notice of intent. So if you were gonna put a pool, or if you were gonna expand your deck, if you were gonna put widen your garage or anything like that, you would have to come before the Conservation Commission. It's the nature of the property that you purchased that's in the jurisdiction of the Conservation Commission. So that's why we're suggesting just to put the fence on. I mean, sometimes fencing, depending on where it's located, a call to me suffices rather than just a filing, but since you think you're gonna do it, you might as well put it on the plan.
Are you aware, as the homeowner, of what your restrictions are for fertilizer?
Yeah, we've provided the,
I'm
order.
asking the homeowner, is he aware of it?
I've been deferring to John and his team for all landscaping.
I'll make sure that we discuss the order and we'll read it
He
tomorrow.
needs to know that going forward, because you're done when you finish your work.
Yeah,
He needs to know, because it's very important, because your proximity to the wetland of what your limitations are on fertilizer. Okay?
So the order was issued August 24th, 2023, so it's good until August 24th, 2026.
we plan to do the work immediately and swiftly.
If you put the fence on it, then he has until August 2026 to do the fence.
So he has 2 years, basically.
Yeah, unless he wants to extend it, and you don't want to go for a certificate of compliance. Once the certificate of compliance is issued, it's closed out. So. Still education.
Okay.
Okay, anything else? Anybody, anyone else in the audience? Questions or comments? Okay. So we're gonna wait for the amended plan, or do you want to close it?
I'm sorry, if I could add one more thing. If we could close it, I could plant and get everything seeded and stabilized before the winter. That would be ideal for us.
It'd be better to get seated, certainly, when you're gonna do that.
If you guys are okay with, I would support you closing tonight, and then we just wouldn't issue the amendment until we get the revised plan.
Perfect.
It's a relatively small project, so I know Rob just said he's not going on vacation, so he'll get it,
According to my new boss.
he'll get it to us as soon as possible.
Okay. Does someone make a motion to close the hearing? Move. All in favor? Aye. 400.
Thank you.
No. We're doing this as a,
It's an amendment to
An
the
amendment.
existing- Yeah, so. if you want to sign.
All right, I'm gonna run these ladies from right back.
She'll be back, I think.
You need her for a quorum. You don't have a quorum till she comes back.
Public hearing, Town of Walpole, Commonwealth of Massachusetts, Conservation Commission Land Disturbance Permit. In accordance with Walpole Stormwater Management Bylaw, General Bylaw, is hereby given of the intent of Jiton Hotel Management at 2375 Boston Providence Highway, Walpole, Mass., map 57, lot 30, to construct a new 4-story hotel, associated utilities of 12,742 square feet, altering over 40,000 square feet of land, requiring a land disturbance permit. Application and plans may be viewed at the Conservation Commission office or at www.walpole-conservation commission. Public hearing on the above matter will be held in person on August 14th, 2024, beginning at 7:40 PM. All interested person requested to be present. Okay, anything in here to read in?
Yeah.
What do we got? This is from Carl Bolduff, Town Engineer. Reviewed the information that has been forwarded to review. Partially reviewed and submitted information and offer the following comments directed specifically to the land disturbance review. This office witnessed soil test pits performed by the design engineer this past March. The submitted plans and report accurately reflect the tests that were observed. The site generally has well-drained soils. The agent and I performed a tabletop review with applicant's designer, Scott Rogers, July 22, 2024, on the originally submitted plans. Current plans show revisions resulting from that review, which include adding a bioretention basin as well as moving the proposed underground infiltration system as well as other items. Sediment erosion control is thorough. The commission could require calculations showing that the temporary sediment basins are sized to accommodate 1 inch of runoff over the disturbed area. A detail of the offline water quality treatment unit needs to be provided. Stormwater calculations. We have not had time to thoroughly review the stormwater calculations and have some questions whether rates and volumes are fully mitigated. Understanding that this requirement overlaps with the planning board requirements for drainage, I suggest the Conservation Commission allow our review to continue under that approval. That will allow the current approval to proceed while we coordinate the drainage review with other site plan items. As discussed with the agent, the final site plan will be provided to the agent commission. Anything else? Okay, representing the applicant?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Scott Farrier from Holmgren Engineering, representing Jiton Hotel Management. What we have for you is a land disturbance permit for a hotel, as you read at plot number 30 on Route 1, directly to the right of the existing Home 2 Suites Hotel that's been there now 4 or 5 years. That existing hotel is 118 rooms. Our proposed hotel is going to be 119 rooms. Basically the same look. It won't be the same brand, but it's essentially the exact same size building. Almost the exact same number of rooms. It's 4 stories like the existing one. Everything's about the same. It's again, it's to the right of the existing hotel, kind of in that gravel parking area. The existing entrances and exits from Route 1 are going to remain in place, so there are no new curb cuts out to Route 1. And as part of the project, we have it's about a 2.5 acre lot, and it's about 2 acres worth of disturbance to build out the hotel. To go with that disturbance, we have a series of drainage improvements proposed. We have 2 large infiltration.
Can you put up that plan? Do you have that plan that's the stormwater system on it? Sure. Which plan is that?
It's the last one in the set.
Well, no, that's the pretty rendering.
Okay.
The one that actually has the stormwater.
Okay.
The utility plan. C5, yeah, grading and drainage.
So as I was saying, we have two infiltration systems proposed. The land generally slopes from the front right-hand corner, kind of diagonally towards the existing hotel. So we're trying to keep the grading, the proposed grading in essentially the same manner. So we have one large infiltration area to the right side of the parking lot, and that will handle everything from the building going forward. And then another infiltration area up against the existing hotel's parking lot that will handle the rest of the parking and the roof runoff from the proposed hotel. So we have those two. We have stormwater quality units that meet the stormwater management guidelines. We have a sediment forebay and a bioretention area proposed in the front, similar to what's already in the front on the existing hotel. A little bit different shape, but a bioretention area there, and then a smaller one out in the back that will handle all of the runoff coming down the hill from Jason's path by using a couple of catch basins that will pipe into that sediment forebay. We have a sediment and erosion control plan that we submitted that I believe your engineer referenced that has a considerable amount of detail that shows exactly how we'll.
C8.
What sheet is that?
C8. I have them out of order. So C8, we had, I don't know that it's anything different than what you would typically show, or you would typically see. We have a construction exit, an entrance, just to allow the trucks to kind of clean off their tires before they hit the existing exit and get back out onto Route 1. Parking area, we have soil stockpile areas, and we have a series of swales and check dams to direct the runoff to a temporary sediment basin during construction. So all of the runoff won't infiltrate out towards the existing hotel. Everything will remain on our site. Once the site is finalized, that sediment basin will be removed, cleaned, and then the final drainage will be installed. There's silt sacks proposed on all the existing catch basins in the area, including the existing hotel. So I think we've got everything protected that way. I could keep going on, but I think it'd probably be easy just to answer any questions that you may have.
Well, somehow we don't have the same plan that you have.
Yeah,
You don't have C8?
well, we have it, but it's well, we don't, but,
So everyone should have plans that are revised 8-2.
That's our usual on
well, I am sharing with Al, so if these are the ones Al
the,
got.
so right, so you have to do microphones and set plan.
Okay, so then, we'll,
In front of you.
all right.
So revised plans came in since Al got the original.
We submitted the same set of plans twice, and then just submitted the newer set. It's this big set right here, I believe, ma'am. Yeah, right here.
Okay, wow, all right.
Sorry about that.
That would explain it. I'm like,
So everyone has revised plans 8 to
Okey-dokey.
24.
All right.
And we also have
There
the
we
same-
go, there we go.
Finally.
Okay, Landis?
Okay, so C8 is the stormwater, the sediment and stormwater control plan during construction. So your temporary sediment basins, you have a volume storage, so that's the first 1 inch, gonna hold the first 1 inch of.
Correct. I believe the engineer was just looking for the actual calculation, but we've got the numbers on the plan. I think we just didn't submit the calculation, so we'll get that to you folks, certainly.
Stockpile areas, construction, parking, dewatering basin, okay, yeah, I mean, they seem to have all the different components on it, so, yeah, there was a little confusion with plans, that both Carl and I were looking at, and that got cleared up at last minute. So there's, I know, I think it was today that he was looking at the, Carl was looking at the stormwater management calculations and there's some questions that he wanted to answer. So as his letter alluded to, there may be some tweaking of the underground storage units to add more storage, depending on his review of the calculations. So I think originally I was thinking we would close tonight, and it's really up to the applicant. Either he can close tonight, we can issue based on the plans that we have, and if they get revised through the planning board and through Carl's further review, then you would just have to request an amendment, or the commission could continue the public hearing for things to match up.
Yeah, I think we've got a meeting coming up, so, yeah, we've got plenty of time between now and our planning board meeting, so I think that would be best. If we can continue it, we'll have a sit down with Kyle, make sure we're all happy with it, and if we do have to make adjustments, I promise to get you the correct set of plans this time, and hopefully the next time we come in front of you, we can close it out then.
Anything
What
else?
sheet shows the underground storage?
Six, I think.
I believe it's 5.
Are you looking for a detail, Al, or are you looking for the?
Well, usually it shows on the plan.
It is on the plan. It's on C5.
Okay, I see that.
There's 2 with inspection ports,
Okay.
and there's stormwater, water quality units, the SWQ.
Yep, okay.
Okay.
3 of them.
Gladys, you're okay? Anything else?
Yeah.
Okay. Media?
No questions.
Al, anything else?
Well, I don't see that it's a big problem, but I just want to make sure that these underground storage units are done correctly, because they clog up and then they don't work and the water goes someplace else. Now, I see that there's inspection ports, and that's good. Do you know how they would clean them if the inspection port shows that there's sediment in there? An inspection port is just a little round hole.
Yeah, just, as you said, just to look at it, to check
Okay,
there's,
so now let's go to the next step. If they see something in there, how do they get it out?
I think typically what we've seen in systems like that, if you do see some, the first thing they would typically do is send a camera down, just to look through the system, see if there's a blockage, a crushed, a crushed unit, find out exactly what it is, and then there's vacuum systems that can suck out any sediment that's got in there. Usually, not much different than an old-fashioned septic system. If these things fail, it isn't usually because something got inside the unit. It's typically the soil around the unit that builds up a little bit of a biomat and doesn't allow for infiltration. So it's, the inspection ports certainly serve a purpose, but usually it isn't the units themselves that are failing. It's something around those units. It's also one, not that you don't want it to fail, obviously, but it's also one reason why we do multiple systems, just in case one of them does fail. At least the other ones there to kind of pick up the slack. Not that that would be a perfect situation, but at least you're not left with no infiltration at all and everything's just running through the parking lot, and either out to the road or onto the abutter's property, so.
That's what we want to avoid.
No question, and you know, I'm referring back to the original hotel next to it. I mean, that has a really big infiltration system. We've had no issues with, you know, heavy rainstorms that we've had in the last few years. We've had no issues at all with flooding or ponding or anything at all, so.
We've had some,
Yeah, yep, I'm sure.
okay.
You know, like anything, it just comes down to being careful and you know, doing things the way it's designed to be installed. So
Okay,
I'm sure that'll happen on this site, sir.
Anything else, Al?
no,
Betsy?
No, no comment.
Okay. Anyone in the audience have any? Yeah, go
The
ahead.
only comment I would bring up, and I went over your design with Carl as well, is that hopefully this location of catch basins will pick up some of the water that's been making it down to the far corner of your property where there is erosion.
Some
current.
erosion over there, yeah, yep.
So, however, the first hotel was designed, it wasn't designed to catch all the water to prevent that erosion.
Hopefully it does. I don't,
Yes.
I couldn't tell you where that's coming from. I'm assuming that
Kind of thought it was coming across the gravel parking lot and
yeah.
and sneaking down that
Sneaking
corner.
around,
and then
probably.
going down
Yep.
the corner, so
Yep.
it looks like you have things positioned, catch basins
we're
positioned.
definitely
so
cutting
hopefully-
it off now. So hopefully that will take care of that issue.
Yes.
But at least you'll have plenty of time, you know, during construction to make that determination as to whether or not that's actually what was causing it, and this will fix it.
We'll have
So,
to keep an eye on it.
yes.
In the audience have any questions or comments? Please identify yourself for the record. Hearing none. When will you have, when do you want to continue this to?
What is your next available meeting?
September 11th.
We would be definitely ready for that, Mr. Chairman.
So we'll continue this till September 11th at, what, 7:30 or thereabouts?
The last one you were scheduled at 7:15.
We'll make it 7:30. We've got enough to do. So, 7:30? Okay.
So continue the hearing.
Someone make that,
7:30?
someone make that a motion?
I was gonna say, Al and I are refusing to do it. Okay, second.
All in favor?
Who said that? Emilio, was that you?
I said aye.
You all kind of mumbled at once. I don't know who made the motion?
Al motioned, I second.
Thank you, folks.
Okay, thank you. Okay. What else we got here?
Washington Street.
Public hearing, Town of Walpole, Commonwealth of Massachusetts, Conservation Commission Notice of Intent. In accordance with Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 131, Section 40, the Wetlands Protection Act and Walpole Wetlands Protection Bylaw, notice hereby given intent of Michael Trowbridge Sr. to construct an addition to a single-family dwelling located at 1759 Washington Street, Walpole, Mass., map 53, lot 238, within the 100-foot buffer zone of bordering vegetated wetlands. The application and plans may be viewed at the Conservation Commission office or at www.walpole-ma.gov/Conservation Commission. Public hearing, any above matter will be held in person on August 14th, 2024, beginning at 7:55 PM. All interested person requests to be closed. Let's see, do we have anything here?
Good evening, for the record, Michael Trowbridge, Trowbridge Associates, And I am signing in.
Okay.
We have a notice of intent for a proposed addition that will be going to the rear of 1759 Washington Street. The rear yard is gentle slope to the edge of wetlands. You have wetlands to the west of the lot as well as to the north. We have 12-inch silt sock, which is proposed, delineating the limit of work that we're doing. I have put on the plan as well 4 signs that will be posted, and I'll make sure they're screwed in, not glued. The main addition off the back of the house will be a foundation, but it will be a 4-foot pour, so there'll be no grading change essentially in the rear yard. And the deck does start to get close to the 25-foot no alteration zone, but that is going to be on sonotubes. And everything that we're doing is essentially within a previously disturbed area.
Candace?
Yeah, I think the proposed activity, I don't really have any sort of comments of it, just if you're digging out the, it's gonna be on slab or foundation?
It'll be a foundation. I got actual footprint plans if you want to see
Yeah,
them.
just if you're gonna excavate for the foundation, that the stockpiling should be up towards Washington Street and, or is it gonna be trucked out?
They would actually probably have to truck it out, but you're not talking much because I've got the floor plans here. So generally speaking, you have a 7.5-foot foundation to 8-foot foundation, but this is going to be dropped in the back, so you're going to have a lot of concrete exposed. So we're only talking going into the ground, essentially 4 feet.
So just frost walls?
I'm sorry, what's that?
Frost walls, just frost
For the
walls?
frost wall, correct. Yeah, they would take that off-site. I mean, I do have a fair amount of distance in between where the silt sock is and the back of the proposed addition as well. So we're not talking a great deal of soil.
And the no alteration blocks are, is it along the back of the property where there looks like there's a little, either a little wall or some kind of?
I can't hear you.
The plaques, so when I look, the plaques are they in the middle of the existing lawn?
Yeah. Right at the edge of that 25-foot no alteration zone.
And one reason is, I also wanted this to come to the commission as a notice of intent rather than just a RDA, because the activity is at least 50 feet away from the wetlands. It's just because the encroachment into the 25-foot no alteration area and kind of on the line of the wetlands boundary and the shed that's on the property line.
Yes.
So my recommendation to the commissioners, it seemed, that there obviously shouldn't be any, the property owner should understand that there shouldn't be any yard waste being dumped into the wetlands, and that there should be no additional work in the 25-foot no alteration
Okay.
area.
That's kind of why I felt that having them in the 25 feet might kind of give you a better signal, I guess.
Yep.
Rather than on the edge of the wetlands.
Yep. So that's really the only comment I have. I also meant to have an aerial of the site, because you can kind of see what's out there now and what the difference is. But those are my only comments.
Okay, Emilio?
I'm all set.
Al?
Well, the first thing I noticed was the shed on the property line and touching the wetland line. I don't think we would ever have permitted that, so I think we should have them move that shed so that it's not in the 25-foot zone.
And the abutting property is Concom land, just to let you know.
Yeah. So I don't,
How old a shed is it?
I don't know how old it is. I don't think it's something brand new.
It looks like it's over the line, too.
Yeah,
it's
it is on the line.
and it's touching the wetland line, which is in our,
Yeah, it's a very small shed. So they can, if you want to put that as part of the order, moving it outside the 25-foot.
well, I'd like to see that.
Anything else, Al?
No,
Okay, Betsy?
Do you have any idea when this property, when the owners took possession? Is it decades ago, or?
Oh, I didn't bring the folder, to be honest with you.
I mean, Landis was saying this afternoon she didn't think it ever came before her, so not,
Well, we don't have anything in our files starting 1999, and I did go onto the Registry of Deeds just to see if there's anything on there, and there is no order recorded on there, and it looked like there was a deed that was transferred in 2021. I don't know if it's to the current owners, but the other deed went back to 1960.
oh, that's
Yeah,
what I mean,
it's been there for a
1960.
while.
Yeah, I think it got sold to, not sold, it got transferred to their
Yeah.
family trust.
Right, yeah, it looked like a family trust, so it must have been in the family, at least still since the 60s.
Okay,
Yeah, the Della Valleys, I think, had been there a while. Exactly how long, I'm not sure.
yeah. Sometimes we see a shed on a property line, sometimes it just happens, it's too bad. Do you have any idea where they dump their leaves and yard waste?
That I don't know.
See, the problem with a shed that's up against the wetlands is that behind the shed is a great place to put it. So I don't know, I'm just thinking like, if this property's never had to discuss anything with Conservation Commission, this might be the night to say whatever they're doing with their lawn waste and yard waste, it can't be past that anymore.
It's be dumped on the other shed.
Well, yeah. Yeah. Or at the town compost site, which is actually pretty nice.
I mean, it's pretty common, an order condition about no clippings being dumped
Yeah.
into the wetlands.
Yeah. But this practically predates Conservation Commission.
When there were no buffers, the good old days.
Yeah. And that's why I guess I wasn't gonna come down really hard on the shed. But, I mean, you know,
well, it's on conservation
I
land.
know. It looks kind of
Well,
old.
yeah, it's got a
Is
bit.
it currently used shed, or is it a fallen down shed?
I don't know. I did the plan. I wasn't actually out there. My crew chief was out there.
Okay. All right,
I
well,
mean, but like I said, they can move it.
It's an
It's,
oldish shed, I would say.
it looks old from the aerial view. I just wondering if it was like already kind of disintegrating into the ground or something. All right, that's it from me for now.
Okay. We want him to have do we want to have the owner move the shed then?
I think so. You know, if it wasn't conservation land,
That's right, but then it would be between neighbors, they could deal with it on their own, yeah, I know what you mean.
yeah.
Okay. Someone want to make a motion to close the hearing?
So moved.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
4-0-0. Okay, in the order then, you want to include that the shed should be moved out of the 25-foot, so it's not within the 25-foot, no alteration zone. Since it's also partially on conservation property. Probably make that note.
Yeah. So, the 20, so you want the 25-foot no alteration area bounds where they're located on this plan, in the middle of the lawn. I have a hard time with that.
Well,
when it's
I think my note
existing.
says or on a fence, so they could put like a little stockade fence with the
Is
plaques on
there, the lawn goes back to the wetland line?
it. To the edge of the wetlands, yes.
Ah,
That's existing,
Yeah.
been that way for
yeah.
50 years.
So that's what I mean, to have plaques out in the
Probably
middle of
70.
the lawn. Yeah, so plaques out in the middle of the lawn,
So I got it up on my phone, so
Oh.
if you want to take it, just with the, that's the big red blob in the
I
middle,
guess
but.
that's, yeah. It doesn't really make sense to put it there, I would,
no, it doesn't, because if you've already got lawn,
well, it's been,
yeah.
you want to
That's
see
why,
this?
I mean, you could condition it, no additional activity in the 25-foot no alteration area other than the existing lawn.
Than
Okay, but where
maintaining
should the
all.
plaques go? I mean, I'm just thinking, like, what does it mean to put a plaque in the middle of a lawn? Does it mean you abandon the lawn? No, you don't.
Right.
They're
that's-
not. I mean, we're not asked, but this is not sort of the night from hell.
I
You
would
know, you
say
move
no.
the shed, you don't have a lawn anymore, right?
I feel like this may discourage other people from filing when we
Yeah.
want them to filing, and
Yeah.
we don't want to like.
And I showed everything the way it is,
And-
shed over the line, it is what it is.
So can the plaques go, I mean, we're not setting a precedent here, but along the wetland line, so that it's more clear that you're not dumping leaves there, which is a great temptation, and more clear that you're,
I would suggest that they move it back to the wetland
Yeah.
line.
I have no
The
problem.
plaques,
yeah. Because
since
otherwise
that's
meaningless.
existing lawn, plus it's been there for 70 years.
Yeah.
It's built in 1960, you
Yeah.
said?
That's
That's
what
the way they
I
said.
went on to.
That's how
Norfolk
rumors start.
Regulations.
Those homes,
That's what I saw the deed said.
those homes were probably, maybe even earlier than that, in the 50s, probably after
Yeah.
World War II.
Yeah.
That whole area was
Probably.
developed.
And Conservation
in that
Commission
time.
didn't even own that back in 1960.
Oh.
I know they didn't, right?
Actually, I mean, the shed, I don't really have a problem with the shed as, where it is, if that's, you know, it is recognized that it probably shouldn't have been placed exactly where it is, but it's not, doesn't look like it's that big to begin with, is it?
At a minimum, we could move it over so it's on our property. It's
Well-
not like they could have adverse possession against the town, you can't take from the king, is the rule.
I don't think that applies, but I think the thing is, you try to move something that age, it's
Yeah, it
not gonna move.
collapses.
I tried it once at my house.
Yeah,
They have another shed.
Gosh.
well, you have sheds because, do they have a garage?
It's down near their garden, which is
It's
also.
the garden, yeah, that's what I figured.
Yeah.
That's, the activity that's down in that corner is, it looks like garden spot, so.
Okay.
So do we want them to move the shed or not?
I'm sort of inclined not to, under all the various circumstances. But I'm just one vote here.
Do you mind if I throw out a suggestion?
Yeah,
What about a note in the order of conditions that at the time that shed is no longer usable, and if they're going to build a new one, that has to be at least 25 feet in?
Oh, yeah,
It cannot be replaced in the same location.
yeah,
That way, everybody's kind of covered.
yeah. Because it really doesn't look like a brand-new, like,
Okay.
yeah.
you go along with that, Al?
Yeah, sure.
All right, I just said, as a homeowner, it's been there that you have to
Yeah,
go move the shed. I'm
Yeah.
just thinking of sheds that I have.
yeah.
Like, not on the property line, but they're not easy to move because once they're there,
Yeah. If it were Walpole Woodworkers, maybe, but it doesn't look like it.
Okay, so we're moving the no alteration plaques to just off the wetlands line.
Well, just put it to the edge of the grass, I
At
guess.
edge of grass.
Right, so then it's clear you're not gonna
So they're not
create more lawn.
Extend
Yeah.
extend
Okay.
the lawn back. And that the shed, if it is ever replaced or relocated, it should be moved
Right,
to,
and there should be no further work in the wetlands. Currently, they've,
Shall be moved outside.
the
or in the 25.
25-foot no
25 foot.
disturb zone? Is that
Yeah, no
what we want to
further
put in
work.
there? Move it.
And/or clippings?
And clippings and yard waste. Should go to the town compost site like everyone else does.
Well, they can have,
No, they can
their
have a
own-
pile.
They
That's
can
true,
have their
it's
own
true, it's true.
compost pile
Yes, they can.
So no clipping or yard waste
in the wetlands.
in the wetlands.
Yeah.
And did you want to say, well, obviously, if they're gonna do any kind of additional impervious surface in the buffer zone, they're supposed to come back to us anyway, so. We don't have to write that as a condition, but, so, okay.
Okay?
I think that makes more sense, it's just.
Yep.
Okay. Someone make that a motion for the order?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. 4-0-0. Thank
Thank you
you.
very much. Have a good night.
Okay, you too.
Can you get me a revised plan with those notes on the plan? So you push the no alterations back to the edge of
I'll push
the
those,
lawn?
I'll put a note about
The
this.
note at the shed on the property line that if removed, it should not be, should be reconstructed outside of the 25-foot no alteration area?
And no further work and/or clippings.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, if you could revise the plan with
I'm
those
heading on
items.
vacation Sunday to Alaska, so I'll do it before then.
Yeah. I'm going to
Seriously.
Newfoundland, so.
You're going to Alaska
Yeah,
on a cruise?
yeah.
Which one?
Norwegian.
Oh,
Last year, the wife picked Italy, Greece, and Malta. This year's my turn.
wow.
We take turns.
Okay.
Nice.
So I'll just hold the order until you get me the revised plans.
I'll
I
get you
will
a
be
plan
out
tomorrow.
next week also, so.
Okay. Thank you very much.
I'm going to Newfoundland, so I'm
I-
heading north.
I used to hunt there a lot.
Okay.
Thank you.
I told you to watch out for the polar bears.
An Alaska cruise on the Princess Cruise Lines.
Yeah, we just did one on the Holland.
This is the.
Oh,
Okay, great, you guys closed the hearing tonight. Yay.
I still don't think we should discuss North Street without,
Well, we still have this request for minor modification.
oh, I know, I'm just getting ahead
I
here.
see no Petrosi here.
what was, what was that minor modification?
The minor modification is
Concrete,
they're switching out the underground infiltration units from Caltech plastic units to concrete
Oh.
units. And they are, so they are running a water line up Brook Ln. Where's that?
Okay, so why don't we address these separately? The water line,
So this is the letter requesting the minor modification. This is a letter from the town engineer in regards to it.
revise the infiltration system from Cultec chambers to concrete infiltration galleys. He showed, says, did he send a plan with that?
Yep. There's two of them.
And what did the town engineer say?
Those two, see,
Review the
that
recent.
medium, slide it down to a medium.
Want to read that?
System remain unchanged. Review the summary provided laws, 2X letter through.
Want to read that out
System
loud?
of, just, there's nothing, okay, furthermore, the proposed concrete galleys are more durable to construction traffic. I have no objection to the change. That's from the town engineer.
Yeah, they don't collapse as easy.
Yeah, I mean, I like the idea. I
I
mean,
assume they have inspection ports like the
Yes,
Caltex.
they're not, they have actually,
The manhole cover,
larger manholes, yes, manholes. They're actually better.
so you
You
can
can actually see in there,
actually
clean it up.
jump in and clean it out. Okay.
It sounds like the other guy was like, you have to pick up the
Anybody have
whole
any,
thing.
anybody have any problem with that, Medio?
No, just wondering where they were, but I don't have a problem with it, no.
Al,
No,
So
I
the
don't have
same
a problem.
location as before.
Betsy?
that's fine.
And I don't. Okay. And then the other one is installation of new water main on Brook Lane, including connection between Union Street and Brook Lane. And he's got a revised sewer plan and profile, and the engineer says, installation of the new water main in Brook Lane will occur within the paved way except for minor work near the back of sidewalk where existing water services will be tied into. All disturbed pavement will be repaved, and any disturbance with the water service tie-ins should be reloamed and seeded. Applicant is also required to mill and repave Brook Lane and install new handicap ramps at its intersection with Union Street. That work will occur next year or possibly the year after. In summary, I support the request. So, town engineer says it's okay. And he has, I guess, who gets these, how does Petrosi, the developer, get these instructions about fixing the,
So this will all be under, I believe, the site plan review requirements,
which goes to planning board?
which did go to planning board and is under a appeal process. It's a little confusing. So this is the minor modification to the plan under the bylaw that the commission approved for this project. So there's the riverfront area to Trapple Brook encompasses Brook Lane. But I don't see any additional impact on the resource area since Brook Lane is already there. He's not altering any more resource area. It would just be obviously any silt control that would be necessary to do the work in Brook Lane. They're also gonna redo Brook Lane as well, repave it, they'll scarify it and repave it. So the question is this minor modification or does this require an amendment?
It seems like a minor modification.
I would think minor modification compared to the rest of this project.
Yep.
Well, and the concrete instead of the plastic is
Yeah,
a good idea.
yeah.
Okay, so, someone make a motion to consider this a minor modification
So
to
moved.
the letter of August
Second.
9th.
Second.
All in favor?
And so it's revised plans July 31st.
I want to point out on this plan, squiggle means existing tree line, period, and there's squiggles everywhere. It doesn't mean two different things. Squiggle means existing
We
tree
should
line.
call him back. Have him come back to our meeting.
No, he's probably sitting up watching this on TV.
Okay, here's
Okay.
that.
I just want to
There's
put all
that.
this
Yeah, with that together.
Too many friggin' plans.
All right, we have some minutes to go through.
I was gonna say, we shouldn't talk about the signage on North Street without Doug here, because he's,
Yeah, I know, well, that's one of the list of things to do. Yeah, I agree. So we have minutes from, you want to start with the closest one or the oldest one, the newest or oldest?
what's the total number of minutes? I read all of them online.
We have five sets.
Basically, I read all of them, and I'm gonna move all of them, and so that people have other.
The only one, there's some minor typos I'm not concerned about. There is one. I have to find it. All right, let's start with May 8th. Someone want to move, let's see, who was here? Betsy and Al and Emilio were here. Someone want to move the minutes of May 8th?
I'll move them.
Okay, do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor? Aye. Opposed, abstained, 400. Okay. Now, the minutes of May 22nd. Someone wanted, that was Betsy, Al, and Media were here. Okay, someone want to move those?
I'll move them.
I'll second.
Okay, there's one that we need to correct, there's a date that needs to be added. Not this one, okay. All in favor? Aye. Opposed, abstained, 400. This one is June 12th. Okay, so I want to move June 12th. That was Betsy, Al, and Emilio were here.
I'll move it.
Okay, we got a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. And maybe it's this one. Okay. On the June 26th minutes, page 2, there was a motion to continue the hearing for East Street at 7 PM, but there's no date, so that should be added August 14th. Just add August 14th after the time, just so if anybody's looking, know when it is. Subject to that, someone want to make the motion
Okay,
to approve
was
them?
I at this one?
Let's see, that was
I was
Al
absent.
and
I was
Emilio were
absent.
here,
Yeah.
so. So we'll make the motion to approve as a.
Second.
Got a second? All in favor? Aye. 301. You're abstaining?
I'm abstaining, yeah.
301. Okay. Okay. And then the last set of minutes is July 10th. Okay, were you asking a question on the last page? You had it outlined in yellow, whether Al voted no or abstained?
Yes.
Okay,
I'm a
so
little confused about that.
I think, well, you remember, Al?
I voted no.
You voted no, that's what I thought. And so it would be, the vote was 3-1-0 on both of those questions, so that it would be noted that Al voted no. Okay? So, subject to that, that was Betsy and Al were here. I want to move those.
I'll move it.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
3-0-1. Medio abstain. Okay, that takes care of the minutes. And I agree with Betsy that we should wait on the signage.
And maybe the land acquisition as well?
No, not yet, no. We need to talk about that. So what else have we got here?
So Amelia, you were abstaining because you weren't present.
Right.
So you were-
3-0-1. Right, both on those, on the two votes. Is that okay?
It's not a quorum.
Yes, it is. We have four.
We don't
Four
need a
votes.
quorum for minutes.
Votes.
We don't need.
We have four votes.
For minutes, we don't need it, we just need, do we?
We have
Well,
four
he's not
votes.
abstaining from the vote.
No,
Okay.
he's here,
fine.
yeah.
Yeah, 4-0-1.
At least he's not
Yeah.
abstaining.
And the
from
other
the
one
vote.
was
It's not.
was a no vote.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay?
Let's do Clark's Pond vegetation next time.
So North Street signs, we're gonna do, put on the agenda for September 11th, wasn't that it? September 11th?
Yeah.
The minutes we did. You talked about the pigging project?
Yes.
I did.
You
It all
did.
went well.
All went well. Pigs came out okay. Clark's Pond vegetation cleanup, is that
So-
vegetation in the water or around the pond?
Around the pond. So I put that on because I've been getting some emails and concerns with some of the vegetation, well, in the pond and around the pond. But in the pond, I just contacted Waters and Wetlands, who treats the pond for us, and asked them if they could just make sure that they get some of the vegetation towards the way back of the pond, closer to Washington Street, because it was getting really bad there. So they did do that. But then also, there was some, I met a woman who lives on Lake Ave, and she approached me wanting some of the vegetation to be trimmed along the wooden rail, which to me, I think a lot of it is buckthorn, but her concern was the view from her house. And that was overgrown and looked messy. And then there was an area when you walked down the trail that you used to be able to walk towards the water, and it was clear over there. And so she asked if those items could be taken care of. And I did ask Jimmy Thomas if they were out doing some clearing, if they could maybe clear some. But then I also thought, well, maybe having a volunteer day to do some vegetative trimming of buckthorn would be helpful.
Is buckthorn considered invasive?
Yeah,
Yes.
definitely,
Okay, so we can get rid of it
yeah.
or trim it, whatever, but probably not that easy to get rid of.
It's best to cut it in late August or early fall, and then you really need to treat it after you cut it.
Yeah, you have to spray the stubs. And if you're not careful, it gets into the pond, and then we're in trouble.
So, it's up to you guys. What you want to do. I mean, there's a lot of
What's the
areas.
poison ivy situation where these areas are?
I don't think there's a lot of poison ivy right now because it's pretty thick, bushy areas, so.
Because it seems to me along, that's the trail that goes along the pond, what's the name of that trail?
There's a name?
Yeah, isn't that
I
part
think
of
it's
the?
part of the Bay Circuit
Part of the Bay
Trail.
Circuit
Oh.
Trail, yeah. When you get to the end of the parking lot at the pond,
Yeah,
there's a
It's
lot of
poison
poison
ivy.
ivy in there.
A lot,
yeah.
horrible.
So, is that in these other areas that you'd want clearing?
No, it's more towards the Lake Ave end of the
Okay.
Ave. But if
I'm
it's
just-
not something that we really want, commission wants to get into, then,
But, well, okay, what I was pointing out about it, okay, it's a good point about the poison ivy. I mean, that also has a huge effect on your ability to enjoy the edge of the
Yeah.
pond, huge effect.
Yeah.
But we're not gonna go and work on poison ivy.
Well, I'm just wondering if you're looking for volunteers to do something and you got poison ivy involved, I think we need to consider that.
But I just mean clearing poison ivy is a whole different thing, and
Well, if you're trying to get people to do something, I don't think we want to send them into a poison ivy patch.
no, we don't.
What about the individual who's complaining about the buckthorn to let that individual clear the buckthorn? If it's invasive, what difference does it make whether it's trimmed or cut down or whatever? Just tell her that.
If that's the message that we
I
want to
think
give,
tell
that
the
if you
homeowner
want some more view, you can go over and cut this bush.
well, it's a tricky thing, it really is. And then where is she putting?
Across the road, it's not
Yeah.
in the backyard.
And then where is she putting all the buckthorn? I mean, because you don't, leaving it on the ground to do whatever it does, or piling it up somewhere? Because if we were to have a volunteer project, you'd want a truck to come to haul it to, does it even go into the town compost, it being an invasive?
I don't know what to do with it.
Yeah,
Yes.
It has to be shredded,
you shred it,
yeah.
okay.
I bet nobody discerns what they throw into the town
No,
compost.
no, I just wondered if it
It's
goes to
garbage.
seed.
This is
From what
invasive.
I've seen.
If it's gone to seed at this time of year, then you're,
The best times of that supposedly is, to do this, is late August or early fall. So I doubt they would say it's best
Okay.
time if it's
okay.
the worst time. But it's that, if there's too many moving parts, then that's fine. I was just looking for a feel-good project.
Well, I'm really not in favor of view trimming, especially on somebody else's property.
Who owns the property where the buckthorn is?
Concom.
Oh, okay.
It's on Clark's
It's
Pond.
Conservation
It
Commission.
is our,
Yes.
yeah, okay.
Yeah.
But we got a lot of buckthorn on our land, I mean, so.
We just let it go?
Sounds like it. So, moving on. Do we have anything else on the agenda?
Clark's Pond. Okay, did you want to discuss anything on the enforcement order?
yes.
Did we need to sign anything for that?
Yes, that's what you need to do.
How does the EPA get involved with the Neponset River? Yeah.
That was what we talked about earlier with the guy that
Superfund.
was here,
Oh, okay.
with the one to take samples at
Okay.
Plimpton.
Yeah. He was lucky that we took him early, otherwise he'd be taken right now. Wow. You got lucky.
He never volunteered to come to a meeting again.
So when this was put on the agenda, this is 12126 South Street. The intent was to have the applicant come in and discuss it, but he didn't want to come in tonight because he wants to come back with a plan. But just to bring everyone up to speed on the enforcement, it was brought to my attention that at 126 South Street, which abuts the rail trail that runs from the senior center down to the town forest, that there was work being done back there, which involved some fill and a retaining wall. And the commission, I don't know if you remember, the commission had permitted the project at 126 South Street, where it was under ownership of a different person. They were tearing down the building, and then they were building a new large warehouse type building with a infiltration basin, and it was discussed, well, what are you gonna do? At that time, there was Jersey barriers, kind of delineating the trail, but on town land, what are you gonna do back there? And when they were putting the erosion control out, the erosion control did go out to where the Jersey barriers were. I thought they were just using that area to move machinery around while they were constructing the building. But I guess their intent was to build a retaining wall where the Jersey barrier was and then backfill, and there was some discussion about doing that. So, because some of that work occurred, in addition to the notice, the order of conditions that was issued for the project and the land disturbance permit, and some of the work is within the riverfront area and the buffer zone, but most of the additional work in the riverfront area, I issued an enforcement order. So the enforcement order went to Mario Musto of Arcadia Brothers, who are doing the work, who own the property now, and are doing the work, and did the work on the other land as well. I talked to him, sort of gave him my ideas of doing, I guess originally they were gonna do the retaining wall and then grass and plant giant arborvitaes, which seems to be the tree of choice for landscaping, so that there was a buffer between that new activity and where people walk along the trail. But I gave him a list of more riverine vegetation or natural vegetation to put at least in the riverfront area. So they revegetates the riverfront area with a natural planting scheme. And then suggestions of maybe altering the wall a little bit so that maybe there's can be some benches put in there. What I had originally heard was the wall was gonna be low enough for people to sit on, and it's not low enough for people to sit on. So those are the suggestions that I gave him. He was gonna work with his landscaper and then come back with a plan. So right now, I guess I just need the commission to vote the enforcement order that I issued and sign it if you so feel that the enforcement order is valid.
So want to make that a motion?
I'll make it.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. 400.
And then again, our September 11th meeting is gonna be very good. So I'll put the signature sheet on top, but this packet includes some photographs of what's out there. And then the rendering plan. It's sort of the last page.
And my additional concern, even though it's not totally jurisdictional for us, is that they were dumping on town land, and by not acknowledging where town land is, there might be future incidences. They don't really own the land that they were working on.
Well, they may have had some okay to.
But not from us.
No.
I mean, they were dumping,
We have jurisdiction
They were-
about half the property.
but they were dumping in the riverfront.
Right, they had been dumping on the riverfront area and behind the building, partially on town land, which we issued an enforcement order
Yeah.
to Gomes to clean up.
Yeah.
And I think the intent was to have more plantings in the scheme of the building.
You just have
Natural.
one signature here?
Yeah.
But also to make it not happen again, because when buildings change hands and you forget where your property line is, you think it's down at the Jersey
That was
barrier.
what was going on before,
Yeah.
that people were extending their backyards
Yeah,
way
yeah.
out into town property.
In fact, the abutters are doing it right now to that property.
Let's see what the message is coming back.
Yeah, that's why I was suggesting to put some bounds along the property
Yeah.
line so that it was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
people would
Okay,
know what was going on.
appeals, nothing new on the appeals, they're still,
No, just so the Brook Ln amended SOC that was with DEP that did get approved.
so that has been resolved, right? The Brook
Yeah.
Lane,
That was resolved the DEP amended the SOC to include the June 7th plan, except now there's a July 31st plan, but they approved the July 7th plan and the additional degraded riverfront area and the new configuration of the residential units that were shown on that
Okay.
plan, which was the same plan that was approved, the bylaw approved.
and the other one, Pinnacle Historic Mill is still sitting there. All right. Planning board comments?
So Hash Brown, 272, 274 South Street, you guys approved as a minor modification. Then the car barn came before us is with the land disturbance permit. The only thing that you guys haven't seen is this 383 Fisher Street, which doesn't have any Concom jurisdiction. It's an increase in parking spaces so they had to submit a site plan.
So that doesn't involve us. Okay. Okay, so that's all on the regular meeting?
Yes.
Okay. So we want to go into executive session, so you want to,
Well, I
Wait
think
till-
before you turn
No.
off, you have to announce that you're going to executive
yeah.
session, take a roll call vote that you're
To
going
go
to executive
into-
session
okay.
to discuss land acquisition.
that's before we shut off
Yeah.
the meeting. Yeah.
And that you-
The commission will now go into executive session to discuss potential land acquisition. So if someone make a motion now then to close the regular meeting,
So moved.
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
So we're off.